You need to pay a lot less for your inventory, and today, I'm going to tell you how. My name's Ty Wilson, and I host a show called Chasing Cardboard, and I resell tens of thousands of items every single year. Today, we're going to discuss one of the touchy subjects in the reselling world, and it's probably the one topic that you feel most unsatisfied about in your own reselling journey. Today, we're going to talk about the prices you pay for your inventory, and I'm even going to give you my own buying strategy at the end. You see, buying inventory is likely the single most important driver for the longevity of your business, because we all know you can go get inventory anywhere you want right now. You can pull up Facebook, Craigslist, eBay. You can walk around the corner and go to garage sales or hit a flea market. There are endless ways to acquire inventory, but if you don't learn how to pay the right prices for your inventory, you're going to do two horrible things. You're going to waste your time and you're going to waste your money. And if you're wasting time and money, your reselling business is not going to last very long. So let's understand some important nuances about paying the right prices, because I don't think it's a science. I think it's an art, and it's going to be slightly different for all of us. The psychology of reselling is pretty unique. I mean, you're taking an item that someone else essentially doesn't want to keep or doesn't want to resell, and you're saying, hey, I think I can take that item and I can breathe some life into it and I can sell it for more. It's a beautiful thing, and I personally love every second of it. But the biggest misconception about buying to resell is that you should simply just pay a flat percentage of comps, head home, resell, count your profits. But the world doesn't work that way. If it was that easy, the robot they're building in the factory down the street could probably do it, and more importantly, the person you're buying from could have done it. Buying your inventory more strategically is a lot more difficult. Yes, of course, the prices you pay are influenced by market comparisons. If an item is selling for $100, you can bet your sweet bippers.
What's a bipper?
You can bet your sweet bippers that you are paying well below $100, so you can make money. But that's only half of the equation. The other half of the pricing equation involves two very important factors that most resellers tend to neglect. Number one is your processing time, and number two is your selling time. I'd even go so far as to say the time element will impact your business more than anything else. Let me quickly break this down. Your processing time is essentially the time it takes for you to do all the work required to sell that particular item. From purchasing it to shipping it and everything in between, all of that requires time and energy, and that time is valuable. The best resellers know the amount of time it takes to do everything in that process. I've actually heard it's one of those things that keeps resellers up at night. Maybe even one of those things that causes you to create multiple page spreadsheets to analyze in your spare time. It's just what I've heard. Needless to say, processing time is extremely vital. The second part of that equation is selling time. And for this one, I'm going to cue the intense music and get really serious with you. Nothing will sell as fast as you think. Period. This is the silent killer of your business. It's the metric that will ruin your business slowly and painfully over the course of weeks and months. Selling time is how long you will have to own that item before it sells. And boy, this is important because the longer it takes for you to sell something, the more it really costs you. In the reselling game, capital that is tied up in slow or dead inventory is money that isn't working for you. And if it's not working for you, it's working against you. And if you purchase inventory that is solely working against you, it makes growth extremely hard. But let's come full circle and talk about why any of this matters. You see, all of this matters because comps and profit margins only tell part of the story, because those numbers don't factor in your time. And that's something nobody can quantify except for you. So I'm going to give you 4 quick tips on how to start paying much less for your inventory, and more importantly, become clear on what things actually cost you. These are all things that I wish I had been doing differently 5 years ago as we just started ramping our reselling business. Number 1, become a superstar at your processing time. One of the biggest hacks when it comes to lowering your costs for goods is simply reducing the amount of time it takes to do all of the work after the purchase. This is where you build a competitive advantage and start seeing opportunity when everyone else sees complexity. They freak out and you kind of smirk because you know this is nothing for you. And the beautiful thing is that the skills that it takes to become efficient are readily available for you to acquire. Many times it just takes reps and learning what works best for you, and then doing it more efficiently every single time. But the quicker you become a superstar at processing, the faster you can build bigger profit margins into your inventory purchasing. Let's be real here. You know exactly where you are probably struggling right now. So it only makes sense to go take the time and fix those bottlenecks, and you'll quickly see that that alone will make you more money. And it'll allow you to increase your profit margins. Number 2, track numbers at all cost. This one is laughable sometimes because I feel every reseller should know what their core metrics are. I mean, really, where do you spend your money and your time? Do you have to think hard about that? You shouldn't have to. Commit to logging your time on everything that you do for an entire week, and you'll be surprised with the results. And then take those numbers and come up with some averages. What's the average time to list, the average time to ship, the average time to sell, etc. And before long, you're going to know exactly what the item really cost you in time. And if you want to take it to the next level, start assigning that time to recent purchases. And you can monitor those results by putting it all in a spreadsheet and understanding the time required for all of your inventory. You're going to start looking at new inventory with a fresh perspective, because instead of seeing 100 items and $500 in profit, you're going to see 100 items and 30 hours of work and $15 an hour of profit. You can even use a tool like My Reseller Genie to bring in all of the eBay sales with one click, sort by a custom SKU number or item, look at the analytics of the entire purchase, and understand your business. And you can do all of that in a few seconds. In fact, you should pause this, click the link in the show notes, use code Ty Wilson, and get 15% off your first month so you can see for yourself how easy it is to use that platform. Go use My Reseller Genie right now. It's crazy helpful. Regardless, you need to know all of your numbers or you're likely running blind into inventory purchases. Number 3, understand sell-through rate or selling time. Like we mentioned above, just because you think your item is hot stuff doesn't mean there's a buyer waiting over there for your item to list. In fact, the recent sales only tell part of the story. Let me show you an example. Let's say you come across a Starbucks You Are Here mug from Kansas, something rather specific, and you look at the recent sold items on eBay and you see that a few recently sold for $8 and $10 respectively. You might get excited. Yay. And you might comp that mug at $8 and maybe you pay $4 to $5 for the mug. But the other part of the data is right in front of you, and it's the sell-through rate for that specific item. You'll see the completed listings there on eBay shows 22 sold items. eBay generates that number based on the last 90 or so days. So you know that 22 of those mugs have sold in 90-ish days. That's about one mug sold every 4 days. But hold on, how many of those mugs are available on the market right now? If you flip over to the current inventory on eBay, you'll notice that there is 240 active with the same keyword. And if we filter down to $0 to $15 buy it nows, which is within the reasonable market price, there are 120 items available right now. That's 480 days of current inventory at the current sell-through rate. So yes, some have sold, and there is a comp. But are you prepared to potentially wait a year for that item to sell? And what does that make your expectations of profit feel like now? Where else could you have potentially put that money? The reality is, in that situation, you would either need to discount the mug more to stand out and sell quicker, or just be okay with your money being tied up for many months before it sells. Either way, you need to lower your buy price to make it worth your time and for you to actually make money. Number 4, use the bucket strategy. I know, not a clever name, but this is a very easy strategy that I use almost every time I buy larger amounts of inventory. It helps me set my expectations appropriately, and it also keeps me honest with what I'm bringing into the store. Most importantly, it allows me to know that I'm buying inventory that keeps me in a position to recoup my investment within 30 days. That's a big driver for me. If I can't look at a purchase and identify a clear path to getting my investment back, I walk away or I negotiate with that important number in mind. Here's how I do this. When I see a collection or a lot of items, I start mentally and sometimes physically putting the items into 3 categories. Category 1 is A-list, items that you know are fairly liquid and popular and will sell quickly. They're items that you know well and fit your store brand, and they might even be items that you have buyers for already. Category 2 is B-list, items that are sellable but will require above average time. Maybe they're a bit more work to list and process. Or maybe the market is more saturated and will require a little more time to move. Or they're just slightly out of your wheelhouse and you aren't comfortable with them. Either way, these items are items that you don't want to pass on, but you do have to value them a little lower. And then finally, category 3 is C-list. And these are the items that you don't even really want, but they're part of the deal. Sometimes taking these items helps you get the deal. These could be items that are not in your wheelhouse or simply inventory that you know just doesn't move faster than 3+ months. These are the items that you wouldn't even think about again if you drove off right now. Now, these 3 buckets simplify a very complex deal, and that's important. And the beauty of bucketing items for larger buys is it gives you an opportunity to understand a path to making money. What I do is I have different percentage of comps assigned to each category. The type of collection and/or the items will shift the percentages a little bit, but here's how I normally look at the categories. A-list, I take the total amount of market value and I offer 50 to 60% of that value. B-list, I take the total market value and I offer 25 to 35% of market value. And then C-list, I take the total market value and I pay no more than 10%. When you add all of these up, you get to an offer price that takes into consideration the state of the overall inventory. And more importantly, it prices things by factoring in processing and selling time. Now, I definitely recommend coming up with your own buckets and associated percentages to make it easy for you when you're buying. But because I'm such a cool dude, if you click the link in the description and add your email address, I'll send you a link to a Google Sheet that you can use for quickly running these calculations. You can make a copy of it and use it for yourself, 100% free. All right, that's a lot of information, but here's what I hope you take away. Paying less for your inventory isn't always about more aggressive or shrewd negotiations. There's definitely a place for that, but you can and should pay less for your inventory by simply understanding your processing and selling time better, and also understanding your selling strategy better. If you walk into inventory opportunities and already know what's going to happen on the back end, it'll give you so much more conviction about the prices you need to be paying to be successful. Once you start doing that, you'll be offering prices that are fair for your business, and you'll absolutely start paying less for your inventory. If you love this video, I'm going to guess you're going to love this one as well. Take care.